Well, this has been this is the 8th video today, and this is actually the video for the 26th of January of 2021, SIG-23. Good afternoon still, it's 3:51 Central Standard, and this is from Fort Observer. Schumer calls on Biden to invoke climate emergency. Because why not find every conceivable reason to tax the people? Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called on Biden to declare a climate emergency to take immediate action on climate change, similar to former president's border emergency that enabled the administration to build a border wall. I would suggest that the Biden administration, explore looking at climate as an emergency, which would give them more flexibility, Schumer said during an interview last night with MSNBC's Rachel Maddow. Observer's note. A climate emergency declaration would be controversial and cement a precedent for future administrations, but it would allow the Biden administration to pursue action not currently available. Schumer has called for drastic legislative and regulatory action. That means restricting what you drive, where you drive, when you drive, how much you can drive, and taxes on top of all that. That means increased gasoline prices because of additional, probably carbon taxes, carbon tax on oil, carbon tax on anything they can think of to keep fostering this nonsense. Schumer has called for drastic legislative and regulatory action, including a ban, a ban on the manufacture of gas-powered vehicles by 2040. If you haven't figured it out yet, one of their favorite things is to be able to control your movement. If you want to know what a future is under these individuals, look no further than our Native American reservations. Find out the history behind them, find out everything that happened to them. That's what they want for you. Schumer also supports decarbonization of electricity production by 2035, and you know how they're going to do that? They're going to tax the living shit out of you because you're using carbon products. That's everything from gas-powered lawnmowers to dirt bikes, motorcycles, scooters, cars, trucks. Yeah. They're not done putting people out of work. They've only just started because literally nobody's in their way now. Schumer also supports the decarbonization of electricity production by 2035 and net zero emissions by 2050. Okay. With the Senate filibuster expected to remain in place, Schumer is looking at a process called budget reconciliation, which would enable him to bring a simple majority vote on issues such as taxes and federal spending. Politico's prepared for a redistricting battle. If they don't get rid of the voting system that we had in place, it doesn't really matter what they do with redistricting if all they're going to do is keep perpetrating a fraud, because they'll just keep adding votes where they need to. So, you know what, fuck that one. I'm not even going to cover that one because it's stupid. Filibuster rule change off the table. After 2 Democrats signaled opposition to changing the Senate filibuster rules, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, I got something for him, later, Rhino, Kentucky, declared victory in protecting the 60-vote supermajority requirement. Observer's note, as long as Senators Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Kristen Sinema of Arizona maintain their opposition, a 60-vote supermajority will remain a challenge for legislation supported by the Biden administration. Meanwhile, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer continues to threaten to rally the freaking Socialist Party, because that's all they are, I'm not going to mince words, in favor of the nuclear option, quote unquote, if he can't get Republicans to work with him. Why? They'll just... Chuck, you know they're just going to bend over for you. You don't have to threaten them. Stop, relax. They'll bend over for you. Trump staffers set up a... The fuck are they talking about? But I'll read this one, but whatever. In a signal that Trump staffers set up a Mar-a-Lago political office. Whatever. In a signal that former President Donald Trump will remain involved in politics, staffers have set up the office of the former president at his Mar-a-Lago resort home. Trump previously said that he will do something for the 2020 election cycle. Observers note, there were some rumors that Trump was looking at developing a daily talk radio or news show, and that remains a possibility. So what? Before leaving office, staffers also set up a political action leadership committee so that Trump could remain heavily involved in GOP politics. That's simple. Just tell them all to bend over. That's what they're good at. Without access to major social media outlets, Trump has some diminished ability to drive the news cycle. Trump's discourse will also run the risk of being accused of fomenting political violence. Trump could breathe, and he'd be accused of fomenting political violence. As federal law enforcement continues to investigate alleged death threats recently made against impeachment managers. One of their previous concerns was how the fallout of 6 January, which continues to be inflated for political purposes, will curb political speech given the likelihood of accusations of inciting violence. Oh, that reminds me, I'm going to have one of these videos in which I describe exactly what the definition of fascism is, because that's going to be interesting. All right. From the White House. President's daily brief followed by executive actions on the administration's racial equality agenda. Kiss my ass. From Defense. Speaking at the World Economic Forum yesterday, Chinese President Xi Jinping warned Biden not to restart the Cold War pitting West versus East. Really? He's your boy. He's your boy, President Xi. You got what you wanted. You got what you wanted through Hunter. What was it, $10 million a month? Is that what you needed for access to the White House? You got it. You got what you paid for. A contingent of Colorado politicians are making a plea to They're making a plea to Biden to review and overturn a 13 January decision by the Trump administration to move Space Command headquarters to Huntsville, Alabama. Why? Senator Michael Bennet, Colorado, accused the decision of being politically biased and said that the scheduled 2026 move, quote, just kiss my ass, undermines our ability to respond to the threats in space. What threats? What threats, Mike? Come on, Mike. Tell us what the threats from space are. Come on, Mike. You can do it. Low intensity conflict in some. Anarchists call for pandemic lockdown riots. So basically liberals just acting up again. Anarchist bloggers call for the proletariat. Anarchist bloggers call for the proletariat to rebel against further pandemic lockdowns and stay-at-home orders. You know they're all going to open up. Give it time. You know, Trump's out of office. There's no reason to stall. They'll open up. Slowly but surely they're going to do that. You know it as well as I do. Now you're just, I don't know, you're just prancing around. Okay. They claim that the orders are a form of domestication by the ruling class of government and corporate bourgeoisie. Oh, Jesus Christ. Will you stop? They're not even, just stop calling them anarchist bloggers. They're Marxists. Anarchists don't talk like that. Marxists do. They also stated that obedience to lockdowns suppresses community organizing, expands the surveillance state, and will be used to conduct political arrests. In response, why? They're your boys. What are they going to do? Have another DA just let you all go? Commit felonies and nobody gets charged? What are you worried about? It's the Americans that have to worry, not you. Let's see. In response, they concluded that the far left, or basically just liberals, need to disobey, riot, and deploy against the forces of law and order, as has been seen in recent anti-lockdown riots in the Netherlands. Observers note, the recent open and violent revolts to strict lockdown measures in Europe have piqued the interest of some on the far left here in the US who believe they have let the state and media scare them into isolation. Specifically, the most recent unrest in the Netherlands has inspired calls from the far left to riot. They've been doing that since last May. Are you kidding me? Most of the resistance to pandemic lockdowns in the US have been led largely by those on the political right. Yep. Well, they haven't really been doing much, have they? The armed protests at the Michigan State House and conservatives rallying around businesses defying shutdown orders in Texas, New York, and New Jersey in 2020 come to mind. Yeah, well, you know it's crazy. These protests didn't result in burning buildings. They didn't result in burning buildings, people getting killed, people looting. Political right. Let's see. The far left's goal, however, is not to return to normal, but instead to bring about revolution and fundamentally change the country. You mean basically pick up where Obama left off and now Obama Part 3 is in office? Really? So basically you're just going to keep the ball rolling from where it's already going. All right. Regardless of who leads the effort, ongoing lockdowns and bungled vaccination deliveries will continue to be a source of social unrest in 2021. They didn't need a reason. Hell, they have the vice president's blessing to keep the riots going. That's who they're getting cover from. Leftists call for further dual power development under Biden. Leftist chat room participants call for focus on building dual power under the new Democrat-led government. They're just Marxists, so whatever. They claim that the centrist Democrat Party, there is no such thing, gained power via the momentum of the far left in 2020. There's only Marxist or not violent Marxist. That's all there is. And is now draining the energy needed to expand the movement toward revolution. Your people are in the White House. What are you revolting over? In response, they called for building political representation through groups like the Democratic Socialists of America. They're there. And significantly expand the labor movement. They always cast their vote for the Democrats, so what's your problem? Observers note, far left influencers have continually called for a return to the Union militancy of the early 20th century. How much more can they get? They already vote socialist, so you want them to vote more socialist? I don't get it. Lacking the popular support of anti-Trump sentiment and fearing mass arrests at public events under Biden, really? They're literally Biden's foot soldiers. Yeah, they're the brown shirts. They are the brown shirts. Some far-left groups have now begun to focus their efforts elsewhere. Socialist political candidates will likely continue to challenge establishment Democrats on the ballot in 2022 and 2024. They're all birds of a feather. Does it really make any difference? Democrat, Marxist, labor, liberal, socialist, progressive, they're all the same thing. Every one of them. Look at their policies. Look what they're trying to do. There may be grades and shades, but they're all the same thing. Just look at their policies. Don't take it from me. In addition, many leftists are calling for building up labor unions, organizing strikes, and disrupting commercial or logistic networks. Historically, reasonably effective governments can outmatch and keep insurgencies at a nuanced level, although an economy hamstrung by potential mass strikes and socialist political representation could allow the far-left proto-insurgency to become more established. Far right claims America is Weimar Republic 2.0. Far right chat room participants surmised that contested centrist control of the government, the recent growth of socialism, and the ongoing economic instability from the pandemic indicates that America is a Weimar Republic 2.0. In response, they expressed enthusiasm for the inevitable rise of white identitarianism in the coming decade and called for followers to intensify their preparation to seize power. Observers note, in their book, How Democracies Die, Harvard professors Stephen Levitsky and Daniel Ziblatt highlighted that economic depression and the subsequent rise of socialist or communist movements have often preceded fascist regimes in history. Depressed economic conditions have historically led multiple centrist governments to embrace authoritarian figures to blunt the growth of socialist revolutionary movements with hopes of swiftly moderating authoritarian leaders once in power. This appears to be the hope behind at least some white nationalist visions of the future. For what it's worth. Upcoming event calendar. Finally, I get to a freaking upcoming event calendar because I'm all caught up. 31 January, a scant 5 days away. Oh no, I guess I did that one yesterday too. Yesterday, for the 25th. Yeah. Black Lives Still Matter, in parentheses. Disruption, Seattle, Washington. So basically it's just another Black Lives Matter little freaking shindig. That's basically all it is. I mean, call it call it for what it is. It is 4:10. That didn't take too long. And I'm officially caught up. I'm officially caught up because this one dropped in my box and I'm caught up. I apologize for all the late ones, but really it's going to wind up in my promotions folder. All right. So that means I have to check inbox, spam, and promotions now. That's fine. I can do that. So that being said, it is... I think 8's enough for today. I don't know, I might do another one, but 8's enough for the day, I think. That's all I got. I would go back I would go back over the videos or get the subscription to Ford Observer. Go back to July, get every subscription and read. And read and see how the opposition has been growing and expanding, how they create their networks. Because it can't be that only one side is going to come prepared to a fight. Sig 23 out.